with it.
That's a shame.
And I can understand now why our desire that we have on this planet to look beyond this planet, I think it's like warnings that we're getting from these species that have been here to say that
start looking for another home.
Start looking for someplace else to live, you know. And also the thing of it is with these species coming here to evolve them, you know, into a more humanoid look. Is that going to do something to create an issue with what they have going for them? I mean, say for instance, their body is capable of manifesting a lighter body, and they can at will disappear. Okay, so are they coming back here at this point in time and messing with our DNA to keep them from becoming extinct? But is that causing them to lose their abilities? You know, that's what I'm picking up. I'm picking up that somehow or another, what they do to experiments not always the best thing to do sometimes, you know?
Right.
And I mean, if you think about that, that's
like the
basically
butterfly
what we...
effect.
Huh?
Like the like the butterfly effect, right?
Yeah, I mean, you think about it, you say, well, let's try this. And like, you know, you're into all that, the medicine stuff and all. The science part of them says, let's experiment. And the science part of them says, let's experiment under, you know, test cases or scenarios that we can do things and keep an eye on things and see how it's really going to work. And like I told you a long time ago, I feel like we're all like bugs under a microscope when it comes to people out there. And that's part of our whole experiences of why we've been under attack and why things have happened to us. And all is like, let's just see how long can they go through this before they do this, you know, which to me is sadistic. I don't feel this as being sadistic from them. I understand that they may have certain venues to accomplish, and that may cause us to feel like we're being invaded. Our space is being denied to us. I can see both sides of the coin is what I'm trying to say. From their aspect of not wanting their civilization to die out, meaning our civilization, I can understand that. Oh, you know what, Janelle? They just brought something to me, and it's so true. Janelle and I were talking about the fact that there's so much, you know, the mixed breeding, and how we were talking about a long time ago about when, you know, the Indians and the white man, they have a breed, they would mix breed, and they would call them half-breeds and stuff like that. And Janelle and I were talking about that, and I said, it seems to me that if we keep going on the way we're going on, it's probably just a matter of time that maybe 1 million years down the road or whatever, we may only be one breed on this planet, because look at how far we've advanced just in, say,
100 years.
4 or 5 million years.
Oh, I thought you were talking about from a technological standpoint.
Well, and just the humanoid species on this planet, how much we've, you know, managed to go from being a bipedal, ape-looking type of being to who we are today. I mean, people may say that's genocide because we're mixing up the breeds and everything, but I remember telling Janelle a long time ago that I felt like someone out there was saying, well, maybe the only way we can get everybody to stop fighting is to have one voice, meaning one language, and have one breed, and just be done with this, you know, all in all. Mm-hmm. And someone asked me about that, and I said, well, I can remember when I was young and someone saying something to me about something similar to that. What would you be, how would you think about being all one species on this planet, and everybody's all doing the same thing and talking the same way? And I thought about it, and I said, wow, how boring. And they said, boring? And I said, well, yeah, because, I mean, jokingly, I said, what will we fight over? I said, but seriously, if you have everybody talking the same way, doing the same thing, thinking the same way, what kind of life would that be? I mean, not even thinking the fact that I can remember Eastern Germany going over there right after the wall went down, and everybody was saying how the government did everything for them, and so they became very lazy people. And they didn't care about taking care of the environment. They didn't care about even taking care of themselves. Why bother? The government was doing it,
Well,
right?
Charlene, I mean, if you even look at our society today, you could have two girls or two guys, same exact build, same hair color. They could be twins. And one's wearing a green shirt, one's wearing a blue shirt, and the one with the green shirt's going to rip the other one down with the blue shirt because his shirt's blue and he wants an upper hand.
Well, and that's the thing. We have it within us, and I mean, if you think about it, how far back, even like, if you can believe the stories in the Bible, and to me they're still stories, Cain and Abel, sibling rivalry, because God thought he was better than the other one and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been from a big family, so I know how that is. I had 4 kids of my own. I know how sibling rivalry can be. You're going to always have somebody arguing over something. What I'm saying is, if we're all puppets to the government, to whoever, all being provided for and cared for, what's our incentive for growth?
Mm-hmm.
What's our incentive? I mean, people talk about the other countries that have social medicine. Well, I've heard good and bad on both sides. I've heard all the war stories for people that have had social medicine. And at this point in the United States, they're trying to do the same thing. And I say the same, why would we want to have something that other people complain about?
Mm-hmm.
My son is in Canada, and it takes a month to get an MRI. I can call up a doctor tomorrow and get an MRI scheduled within a week.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, we have incentive. And those are the things that keep us coming up with new ideas or better ways of doing things and stuff like that. So I think that what happened, from what I was picking up years ago, before I even started making my videos, when they were telling me about, well, if everybody looked alike, talked alike, walked alike, thought alike, then we wouldn't have anybody fighting. But like you just said, Janelle, yeah, our genetics are so strong. I find doubt in that, because even though we may not be fighting like wars, we might still have our little testy moments. Our DNA might still come out, and that Cain and Abel might still reach out and take a bite out of us.
Mm-hmm.
And but I'm feeling like these futuristic grays are not those type of beings that have that attitude to be warring. I mean, they do things probably without having any emotions. Maybe the word I'm looking for is to have any feelings about what they're doing. That their need to have what they need to have is stronger than what they feel we have. And it would be like us experimenting on animals on this planet in this time and space. So, and I have a feeling that a lot of the experimentation that's going on has risen far above what it was like 50 years ago. But I'm going to tell you something, and this is probably going to knock you on your butt, because Anne may know, because we're of the same age range. But do you know that the doctors today are using techniques and methods that were discovered in the time frame when Hitler was in office and his echelon were experimenting on people, even twins. There was a big thing about the twins, but they were doing lab scientific research on people.
Oh,
human.
yeah. Hitler, I mean, despite the Holocaust, he's sometimes known by a few people as a father of genetics.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. It's things that they keep behind closed doors, but at the same time, if you ask the doctor, well, where did this come from? Well, we are not really supposed to say, but back during Hitler's time, his scientists or his doctors performed all these things, and because of that, the records we found, we got all this information, and so they're lauding him without doing it publicly.
Mm-hmm.
And I think what happens is we have a tendency of seeing a greater need, or scientists may say they have a greater need. And there are people out there who say, we don't want you to do that. And I'll give you something that they just told me about not too long ago. The greater need is, if people do not stop overpopulating this planet, then they better stop bitching over all the people out there who are doing what they can to come up with new food sources for us. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
It does.
And so basically, and I don't mean to sound harsh with this, but I do genealogy. I know how the tree has gone from Adam and Eve basically to this massive multi-million people on this planet. And yes, we have wars and we have pestilence and we have earth changes and everything else that knocks the crap out of us and kills off hundreds of thousands of people. But for every hundreds of thousands of people that get killed in a year, how many kids are being born to take their place?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
You know, so what happens is that we have a need to survive. And there are people out there who are raising Cain about the fact that we shouldn't be doing this and shouldn't be doing that. And we have no need for this and no need for that. And I'm thinking in my mind, do you even know what you're talking about?
Right.
Because a lot of these people that I'm seeing out there that are raising Cain about it is really the ones that don't know the other side of the coin. They're only hearing one side. And what gets me is if they presented the other side of the coin to these people, would they even listen to them anyway? Because to me, it would be saying, like, I'm going to tell my 9-year-old granddaughter both sides of the coin and tell her to pick a side. Well, at her 9-year-old brain, is she going to be intelligent enough to choose the right side? And that's how scientists look at people. And I think this is how these Greys have looked at people. As if to say, I'm not acting like I'm superior to you, but in my knowledge compared to your knowledge, in that sense of the word, yes, I am. And that would be like me saying to my 9-year-old granddaughter, I'm not saying that I am better than you are, but I have a little bit more age and wisdom going for me to help you have a better life. That's the kind of thing that I feel like I'm getting from them. Now, there are other beings out there who have been in mind power, who have been empowered by mind power, who are from our past, not from our planet, who have done things to us, still do things to us. You know, it's not a game. They do it because they have this hatefulness within them. But again, if you look at the other side of the coin, why the hatefulness? When I was doing that book, Soul Searching for Truth, there's that one image on one of the pages that says that this ET was being attacked by somebody and being told to attack somebody else. And we've all been through that scenario where, you know, he said, well, like, say, Susan, a friend of yours comes up and says, oh, my God, Susan, I just heard Margie said such and such and such and such. And you know what? If I were you, I'd go over there and punch her out. And, you know, you're this kid that goes over and says, what are you doing talking about me like that? Smack. Because you don't have the sense to say, well, is that true or not? And I think what's happening out there is that same scenario of he said, she said, slapping people around, and nobody's taking the time to find out if it's really true or not. And that, because of that, in my state of mind, I would have to say that being is a lower intelligent than I am. You know, because they aren't having enough intelligence to say, well, wait a minute, is this really true? They're just coming out and attacking.
Right. Can we change?
Well, it's kind of like watching, not to bring up a bad subject, but it's kind of like watching Maury Povich.
Why is that? Oh, yeah. Never mind.
Yeah,
I got it.
Well, because those people, they don't have enough sense to really analyze their own situations.
And believe me, those people cross over too. And they get out there, and all it takes is that gang mentality, and next thing you know, you've got somebody around you wanting to punch you out because they have that gang mentality. Janelle, what were you going to say now, honey?
Yeah, I just wanted to kind of shift a gear a little bit.
Sure.
These alleged abductees claim that they have small metal beads inserted behind their eye, behind their nose, in places in their body, and when they have them surgically removed, there seems to be a neurological tissue surrounding that.
Okay.
What is that from?
Let me ask them about that, because one of the things that I picked up a long time ago from these more enlightened beings, far future beings, us beings, was why do we need to do that? And I felt like when I heard it that way, it was as if to say that that mentality is to them a what's the word I'm looking for? It's a limited mentality. Like they have more important things to do, or they have means and ways of it. Like if people are saying, well, they're keeping track of us. Well, if they have the ability of being able to pull thought off the universe as I've been taught, why would they need that type of mentality?
Well, the claim
Now,
is that these small devices, or whatever, the implants, are created from a material commonly found on meteorites or something, and that
well,
it's
if
not
you
it's
look
not
around,
it's not necessarily to track people. I think it's to monitor maybe biochemical levels of some claim like serotonin, which is in the brain, just different hormones and chemicals in the body.
okay,
Wow.
I'm asking them right now
Okay.
because, first of all, there's a lot of subjective thought that can happen to people. Again, that mentality of mass hysteria.
Right.
And what I'm picking up from anyone who is capable of doing that is not coming off of these beings from a higher evolved state of mind. I asked if it was coming from any being that might have come here from another planet. And they said there are beings that have come here from other planets, and they have been able to do whatever they had to do to manifest whatever knowledge they had to. Again, you have to think that they may be evolved in their electronics, but they may not be evolved in their mind thinking. So it would be like giving a teenager a gun and say, go play with it. So that's the kind of mentality is what I'm getting off of these other beings that have been hateful beings to us.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm really picking up I'm picking up some type of reptilian breed on this one. But yeah, we have had times where people have been subjected to, had things done to their bodies, not all physical, meaning not all these implants that people are saying that they're implanting is a legitimate gripe from another being, from another universe. Some things have been done. I hate to say this, Janelle, but some things I feel like they're done on purpose to get attention.
Oh, wow. Really?
Susan, what are you picking up?
Now, how would they stick these things up their nose and behind their eye, though? I mean, I could...
Well, again, you would have to have a total lab research, scientific research. And this is the questioning I'm getting in my mind. The questioning I'm getting in my mind is like, yeah, and what is the facts that they have behind it? Because somebody said, oh, yeah, look at this person. She's a reptilian. And I looked at the person in the video, and the guy was asking her, and this is all in a foreign language, is those your eyes? And she's like, yeah, I was born with them. And they had like the subtitles on the bottom, and they were reptilian eyes, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I kept getting all this doubt over and over again, and finally I'm like, what the hell is going on here? Because I'm getting this doubt. And they said, it's contact, Charlene. Well,
I was going to say, they make those for the movies.
Right, and then all of a sudden I'm getting this, are you kidding me? They make contacts like this?
That's
and they said, well,
absolutely
of course.
insane.
You can order them on the internet. They're a big thing.
Well, and that's what I started doing. I started researching it, and I said, you're right. You're right. So when I get doubt off of people out there around me, I want them to investigate it. I'm not judgmental. I don't care one way or another. But if they're doing it because they feel like they have to have proof, and I agree with the whole scenario about psychic attacks and the scratches on their bodies, I know things can be done. But my thing of it is it really being done to them, or is it being done by them?
Mm-hmm.
Because of their own mass hysteria. Knowing they're being attacked, nobody's going to believe me, so I'm going to do this, so I have proof of this. And a couple of things that they told me just now, okay, I had something in my ear that my doctor found in my ear when I was a kid. It was a piece of a comb. Because when kids play, they all play like doctors and mommies and daddies. Well, one of my siblings must have stuck a piece of a comb in my ear, and I never knew about it. And then
wow.
I had my ear was infected, and the doctor pulls this out of my ear. My mother's like, how in the world did that get in her ear? Well, the same thing happened with Carrie Ann and Natalie. When Natalie was playing with Carrie Ann, she was playing and stuck a piece of foam, a little piece of foam, up Carrie's nose and couldn't get it out, but never told me anything about it. Carrie starts having this postnasal drip big time. I take her to the doctor thinking she's got a big sinus infection. Her poor little upper lip area was like raw from her nose draining. I couldn't see anything in there. So take her to the doctor. The doctor pulls out this piece of foam and says, well, you know, kids will be kids.
Aw.
And part of the whole thing was we can have a lot of things happen to our bodies from a lot of different ways. And not all it is extraterrestrial. But the next thing you know is everybody's got to jump on the bandwagon because, oh my God, I found something and it's not, I don't know how it got there, and maybe because it got there, you know. So a lot of these things, I would say, some things I feel like are obviously truthful from what I'm picking up, for monitoring or for gathering information. Some things I feel like are mass hysteria. Some things I think are just there because it got there and they just don't know. You know, like a piece of metal.
Right.
I mean, you can walk through a junkyard and get a piece of metal in your leg and not even know that it's in there. You might just feel like you cut yourself or something. So I said...
And then why wouldn't your body have a reaction to that?
Well, it should. But again, we're all genetically different, even though we're all genetically the same. So your body can react differently to different things. You know, if that's the case, why is all these metal implants in people's bodies and we're not reacting to it? So you could have a piece of steel in your body and not have a reaction to it. You could have a piece of rusted metal and get lockjaw. So, like that that guy that go ahead.
They do experiments on what types of metal are best suited for surgery and implantation. So, and it's not necessarily a specific metal. It'll generally be an alloy. It'll have part A, part B, and part C, and they'll melt it all together. And it's like chemistry. It comes out with the right amount that your body doesn't react to. Now, they also will use coral from the ocean to create bone. You can place coral. Your body recognizes the structure of coral as bone,
right,
and will start to adhere to it and grow around it and utilize that material in your body for certain types of healing. So there.
Well, it's just like Ron's knee. He's got titanium and plastic, you know, for a knee replacement. So, and his body's doing fine with it. So it really just depends what's going on in there and how your body is going to react to it. I think it's. Go ahead, Janelle.
Well, I have finished your thought, but I have sort of a silly question regarding the Greys.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was asking, why are they always depicted with the black eyes? Are they lenses? You know, because I have seen Grey beings in my own meditations where they look like Greys, that their eyes, like the sclera of our eyes are white, theirs are black and they have like a white slit, but the ones that it's really popular is that like they wear these black lenses, or are those their eyes?
The future ones that I was seeing looked like their whole eye area was dark, but they weren't as big as what is depicted out there. Let me ask them, okay? Because I haven't really asked anything like this.
Okay.
Are those lenses? They have a form of skin on them. It's to protect their skin. And this skin is also designed to make sure that they have a covering over their eyes to protect their eyes. I feel like their eyes are very, very light sensitive. This is not the first time I felt this. So it is a lens. They have designed this in order to protect their eyes, but they've also done it basing it on what they felt might intimidate people too.
See, that's what I got too, because I was asking and I heard some of it was to frighten people.
Yeah, I feel like what they're doing is if they think they frighten us, that they may keep us more under control. And this is coming down the road a ways. I don't really feel like this was all done. I would say over the last, let me see, it's been about Well, okay. There have been many incidences in our planet where they have come back in different time periods in order to make sure that they do whatever they feel like they have to do to create whatever they have to create. So, I feel like they have been part of our genetic engineering from a long time ago for a number of reasons to enhance us. And just like I said, that whole genocide thing about, where creation has been evolved to the point where one species is no longer around. And I think they've had some part of that in order to make a better species. And it's like I said to someone once, if they come back and they do something like, say, 1,000 years ago, in our history, we're only still going to be in our now. We're not going to know. And what right now, in this moment, as we're talking, could have been different based on something they might have done 100 years ago. But we're not going to know because we're in our moment. We're in our now.
Right.
And I think they have done that periodically to enhance different things for different reasons. I don't think it's all extraterrestrial as far as the grays from the future. I also feel like it's other species that have been around before on other planets that have sort of looked like us and have lost their planet for whatever reason, that they have literally searched out a new environment in order to make it a better place for them. And this is also what I feel like has taken place again for millions of years, because let's face it, we can count back like billions of years based on even scientific measures now about how old the universe is. So again, a species that became evolved literally lost their planet, left their planet in the spirit form, went to other planets to create a home, and finding none that they really wanted to have until they found this one, and then started doing what they could to manifest a life on this planet that would look comparable to what they want it to look like, which is basically, from what I'm picking up, not unlike what we have going for us now. Not totally like what they looked like back then, but enough. And I think that's a lot of other things that may even still be going on. That if that's the case, that they're still messing with us to create a one species, one language world, and then we have these rays coming from the far future back to say, taking samples from us to save their species.
Now is that why some people, actually, I think pretty much all people are claiming that gray people are genderless, they don't have a gender, when we know that there are ones out there that obviously do have a gender?
Yeah. Well, I don't feel it's coming from here. From the smaller species that I feel like they have had that are not quite like this tall gray that we're talking about from the future, I do feel like they are genderless, but we do have other species in other areas that are smaller, darker skin, that some have also called grays. And I think that's the problem we're having. We're calling so many different beings out there reptilians or grays when there should be a multitude of names, if that makes sense.
It does.
I mean, like, that would be like calling everyone here on this planet human beings, when we know that there's reptilians and birds and dogs and cats and you name it, So you can't just put all of them under one species.
Speaking of Earth, what about these people that are claiming that there are underground bases and there are gray beings and reptilians under there and they work with the government?
I think there's a lot of beings out here who have literally connected with people through their minds, as we know, and we have a lot of beings that are connected to extraterrestrials that are not from the USA.